Hey there, I'm Jen Houston from the Artsy Fartsy Gallery. Did you know that today is National Coloring Book Day? Who knew? I know I didn't know. But these things that you find out. Great. So a lot of you know that I'm here in Canmore right now. And so I thought, oh, I would like to color in my coloring books. However, I left my coloring books back in Brandon. No worries though, because I've got all my Stampin' Up stuff. And so let's make a card. And in this card, we'll be able to do some coloring and do some other little techniques that I'm sure will be very similar to coloring in a coloring book. So let me show you what I made today. Get it all set up for you. There we go, we're on the screen, the card's on the screen, fabulous. So here's what I made, and I did some coloring on it. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but there's some shimmer on there. So I'm gonna show you a tool that I use to get that sparkly part on the card. All right, so let's get started. The stamp set I'm gonna use is called Hand Delivered. And so of course there's all different occasions that you can use on there. So there's this, cute little wedding cake, the little school book pile, to the graduate. Congratulations, happy birthday, love celebrating you. That's the one I used on the card I made today. Hope you are feeling better soon and miss you. I love how the skirt has a few different patterns here. And I made a card with the balloons. However, as you can see, you can use one of these just blank card slates and just stamp whatever saying you want in there. So you don't actually see this girl's face because it's covered by balloons or other items. So it's kind of fun. I think it's quite neat. It's a hostess special card. So here we go. I'm going to use Whisper White cardstock, and my first stamp that I'm going to use Memento ink. I'm going to stamp her dress and her skirt. Her skirt and her legs kind of close to the bottom because we need room for all those balloons. So kind of in the middle, near the bottom. Stamp down, straight up. Looks good. All right, now we're going to go on to the balloons. Now, as you can see, this balloon stamp is quite large, so it's hard to ink up your balloons this way. A trick that I do is if it's large, I have it just sitting on the table, and I just put the ink onto it this way. That way I can see clearly as to whether I've inked it all up properly or not. All right, looks good. So now, since these are photopolymer, I can see through them. I'm just going to move this down a little here. I can see through them to match up her dress with this the skirt, or the top part with the skirt. And press down and straight up. And there we have it. I'm just going to move these stamps out of the way. Now, we can keep her skirt like this, or we could add a little decoration to her skirt. I like the decoration. Adds a little extra coloring to do, see? So once again, it's photopolymer, so you can see through. You just kind of line it up with the stamp that you had before. There we have it. Cute. I like it. All right. Now for the coloring part. Coloring. Stampin' Up! Has come up with these alcohol-based markers, and I'll just show you one here. I've got all sorts of colors. They come in a set. Let's see, this one. So they come in a set of a light version and a dark version. They have two different kinds of nibs. So the one side is kind of just a little felt, normal kind of marker idea. The second side is more like a paintbrush. I find for doing a little more detailed things and making sure I color inside the lines, which you don't have to do, by the way, I prefer this rounded nib over the paintbrush side. Totally a preference thing, up to you. All right, so, and they come in all sorts of colors that of course match the cardstock, which is wonderful. So then you don't have to figure out how to, you know, how do you match these things up and you know, make them look pretty. So today I'm going to be using Pool Party. Let me see here, Pool Party. So here, once again, there's a light version and a dark version. So when you're coloring with these alcohol-based markers, what I do is I color with the light version first. So I'm going to color the entire balloon. I prefer doing little circles. You could do however you prefer. Okay, so that piece is colored. So now what I do is I go back and I use the darker one right over top, kind of where I think the shadows might be. So these are the fancy things about these markers. They allow you to blend. They're called Stampin blends, and make those shadows and different layers to your picture. So now I'm going to go back with the lighter version, and you kind of go over what you did with the dark, and I'm going to kind of color in closer and closer and closer to the middle. And I'm going to leave a little piece that's just kind of lighter in the center of the balloon. So as you can see, it kind of goes from darker to lighter to lighter. Isn't that neat? All right, so I'm going to have a Pool Party one. I'm going to color, while I have the Pool Party, I might as well keep coloring with where I want to have Pool Party on the balloons. I'm going to say, how about this one? So it's not going to be exactly the same as the one that I had done earlier, because I'm going to use the same colors but kind of put them in different locations just to switch it up a little. So here I am going back with the dark version. I'm going to kind of put where the shadow would be. So I kind of go all the way around the outside and kind of in here. And of course, the more you keep coloring with it, the darker it gets. So here we go. Kind of go back over the dark and kind of go towards the middle. See how that works? Isn't that neat? How it just gives a lot of a shadow look. Okay, keep going with the Pool Party. This one I'll do. So are you avid colorers? Do you have a favorite coloring book that you like to color in? I'm often so busy with my cards that it does get neglected. Sometimes I like to take it to the beach and color at the beach. Or another time I like to color is when I'm watching TV and I just don't want to watch TV, but you know, you have to sit there with your husband and have, you know, quality time. So I sit there, I don't really want to watch what's on the TV, so I color. Is that bad? Oh, these things you do. That reminds me, in 2 days, I will be celebrating my 6th wedding anniversary. Made it to 6. We're doing good. Maybe it's because, you know, we watch TV together regardless of whether we like the show or not. I don't know. Maybe that is quality time. All right, going back with the light, just smoothing that over. There we are. I kind of accidentally went a little too dark in the middle, but maybe if I went there, kind of left a little lighter spot on there. Now, what other color am I going to use? How about Granny Smith, or what's called Granny Apple Green? Those colors. It's going to be nice and bright. Okay, so you start with the lighter one. And you color the entire thing. And then you go with with the dark. Shade where you would have the shadow. Go back with your lighter one. Go over top of what you just did and kind of bring it in. And it all kind of blends together, leaving a little space there. While I have the light, I'm going to do one more of this Granny Apple Green. Lighter color first. I like these alcohol-based markers because you know how you color with a marker and it tends to leave those lines? Well, these markers don't do that. They kind of, I guess because they blend together. I'm not sure the magic of it really. But that's kind of the fun part of it, that you can layer different colors on top of each other and make them go from lighter to darker. Okay, and I think I'm going to use some yellow, which is Daffodil Delight, light yellow, light version. How's the weather back in Manitoba? It's thundering and raining here, so it's a perfect day to be coloring. I love it. Okay, I'm going to go back with the lighter version. And let's blend them all together. Lighter color all over first, darker color. Makes any amateur coloring person look like a pro. I love it. All right, so I had a watercolor painting instructor tell me that you should have all of the colors kind of everywhere all over your picture. So I'm going to make sure I put Pool Party somehow in the skirt, in her dress, and I'm also going to make sure I get Pool Party, this blue color, in the background somehow. So you'll see how I do that. But okay, for her skirt, I think I'm going to go. Let's see. How about orange? So we have a color that's called Pumpkin Pie. So I'll use the light Pumpkin Pie, and that'll be kind of where I put all over her little, oop, I did that before. Got to pay attention there with her little top. One piece is her arm, and one piece is her blouse. So now I'm going to go back with this side, with the dark, kind of do some shading. Of course, a lot of it would probably be pretty dark and shadowed because of her arm there, because of all the balloons, but just kind of blend them in. Okay, and I think I'm going to color her skirt part that color as well. So I'm going to go in with all the light colors, try to stay inside the lines here, or outside of the lines, I suppose. Okay. Oh. That'll be my orange bit for the outside. Did you see my boo-boo? Oh well, that's all good. That's what I love about handmade cards. They're not meant to be perfect, like manufactured kind of card. They're made with love. They're made with boo-boos. They're made, you know, they're made with love, like I say. If they have a little boo-boo, that's okay. So don't be hard on yourself. I often think about who I'm going to give the card to while I'm making it, and so that kind of makes it extra special while I'm coloring or making the cards. So there's little lines on her skirt. I'm just going in with the darker version of the pumpkin pie. I also go around the outsides a little here, just to kind of bring it in. I think I'll do a little bit down here, and a little at her waistband. Okay, I'm going to go back in with the light just to kind of blend those out a little, so you don't see an absolute line there. There. All right, so now I want to make sure that I get Poppy Parade. Yeah, it's Poppy Parade. In there somehow, because I'm going to use that as a layer in the background of the card. So I think I'm going to use it for this flower here. And I'm going to get some darker. It's pretty small, I just put little dots. It's not going to be perfect, right? I have to remember to use some Pool Party. Use some blue there, and I think I'm going to use some blue there. I wanted to use some yellow, so I'll go in with this flower. See, I'll use the lighter colors first, and I'm going to go back with the darker. I think I'm going to put red Poppy Parade in the center there, just to make it a little different. And we have one more flower, so I think I'm going to do Pool Party for that one as well. And with the dark, you get muscles opening this thing. I had a class a few times with using these markers, and the ladies went home, they're like, oh, my arms were sore the next day. So hey, not only is Stampin' Up, a coloring product, these blends, but they're also a good exercise tool. Okay, Granny Apple Green for the leaves. You don't want to let the ink sit for too long before I go back with the darker color, just because it's alcohol and it dries up quickly, so then it won't blend as nice. Okay, go and color in these little ones too. Dark one. What color should I put those dots on her skirt? I think I'm going to do the Pool Party, the darker version. Blue and orange are opposite on the color wheels, so that means that they kind of make each other pop. Now I did the darker blue, but what you can do is actually go back with the darker and make shadows, because it just adds a little darker piece to each little dot. All right, I think I'm going to leave the other little parts of her dress. I'm going to use the lightest version of Crumb Cake for her skin. Oh, that is not the lightest version. Oh. Let's see, this one. If I would stop and read a little bit first, that would help me out. Read the directions. We'll just blend that in there. There. Get her legs done. Now before I go on to the other leg, I'm just going to make sure that I prefer the other end here. So she's going to have a little shadow there on, from her skirt. She's going to have a little bit, I think I'm making a mess. But I will go back with the lighter color and blend it kind of together. There. Okay. Light version, dark version of crumb cake. Makes me hungry. It's a good thing that these markers don't smell what they are like, what they're called. Like, oh goodness, what do we have? Lemon lime twist or pumpkin pie, like I said before. Okay, I'm going to use some darker, I think this is dark soft suede, just for those little lines on the from the balloons. Just lightly. I'm using that paintbrush side just ever so lightly. What color for her shoes? I think I'm gonna do red. Poppy Parade. Everybody needs a pair of red shoes, don't they? We'll sparkle them up with the special tool later here. So I'll go back with the darker version, just add a little, some daubs there. Okay, so now we are ready to, I'm gonna put the stamp right there that says love celebrating you. So I'm getting out my Memento ink again and inking up the little stamp. And love that it's photopolymer so you can see exactly where you're stamping. Love celebrating you. Ta-da! Okay, so as you can see in this former card, it's not just plain white. And the way I did that was I used the ink pads and daubers. So I'm going to, let's see, get out some colors here. I'm going to start with Pool Party. So you might have heard me say that when I was using the markers. So what you do is you use these little daubers. They are just a little foam bit on the end of a kind of a little tube. You stick it on your finger, dab it in your ink pad. Now I like to kind of do it on a scrap piece of paper before I actually put it onto my card, just to make sure that it's not too dark. So, and just kind of rub over top of your white card. It's always better to go lighter and build darker. If you start too dark, there's not a whole lot you can do. So that's where I like to just go lightly to start, and you can always add more color. I'm not sure if you're seeing how that's building up a little bit brighter blue there, making it not as white. Okay, I leave some white bits, of course, because it's going to be the sky for me, and so there will be some clouds in the sky. Okay, now, like I said before, my watercolor instructor always told me to add all of the colors into the background. So, since I have yellow balloons, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. So I have a different dauber that kind of has the yellow hues. So I'm going to use that. I'm just going to make sure that it's not overly powering here, Daffodil Delight. And I'm just going to kind of put a little yellow there and a little yellow around the yellow one. It's so faint. It's not bright and bold in your face. So don't expect that it's going to be standing out way too much and looking not so great. I have some Granny Apple Green here, so I will get out a green dauber. Ooh, it's pretty. I'm glad I did it on my paper before I put it on my card because it's quite dark. So just rub off some of the ink that's a little too much. And there you go. Just kind of gives the illusion of kind of reflection, I suppose. Okay, and we already used Pool Party in the background, so that's okay. Next, I'm going to use some of that orange pumpkin pie right here. So I'll get a dauber that I use with the oranges. Dab. Okay, and just a little bit around. Okay, and red. Now I'm using Poppy Parade red. I already have a red ink dauber. I'm actually not going to, ooh, that's a different kind of red. Maybe I will go in with Party Parade and change up that color a little there, because I don't want it so maroon. So I'll just get a lot of the ink off and see how that changes. Oh, can you imagine if I had put that on the card? Oh. So it's always good to use your scrap paper. Okay, I'm just gonna put a wee little bit by her shoes there. Barely a touch. All right, so now just to kind of make it look like she's got some ground underneath her so she's not flying with all these balloons, I'm going to use some crumb cake ink, and kind of as soft as I did the blue up here, I'm just going to go in with crumb cake and kind of make a layer that's ground. And if you go over top of her legs, it doesn't matter because they're crumb cake too. There we go. Cute. So we're all done coloring. Now I'm going to show you my secret tool that I absolutely love. It's called Wink of Stella. So Wink of Stella brush. You open it up and it's kind of like a sparkly pen. It's got sparkly ink in it. It's clear. I'm going to go over top of those yellow balloons like I did the last time. So it's very, very faint. I don't even know if you can see the sparkles coming out. I can, but ooh, there, you should see that. Okay, I'm going to use some of that over here because I squeezed way too much. And of course, I think I'm going to put them on her shoes. So she has sparkly red shoes. Cute. All right. So let's assemble this card. It's pretty simple, hey? And what I like about that, it isn't a huge picture. So it took us, what, 20 minutes? How great is that? So I've got a strip of Poppy Parade and I have a card base of Pool Party. So the first step I'm going to use is I'm going to use my snail adhesive and glue that Poppy Parade onto the Pool Party base. Okay, kind of center it in the middle there. I had, there it is, a little piece of ribbon I was going to put behind. So wherever I want it, I'm just going to put the strip. How about, I don't know, down here, we'll say. So kind of where I want that ribbon to go, that's where I'm going to place the snail tape. Now, since this is kind of bumpy now with this ribbon, what I use are, they're called dimensionals. And so they're kind of like foam, double-sided foam dots that you can put on the backs of things to kind of pop up your picture. Isn't that cute? Kind of like a watercolored look on the back of my paper there. Kind of bled through a little bit. So yes, make sure you use a paper underneath if you're using the Stampin' blends so you don't get that all over your table. Might look pretty. Never know. All right, and you just take off the backings and then they are sticky. So it's kind of like your glue source. Okay, you ready? And you just put that kind of in the center. And you have a card. Isn't that cute? Love celebrating you. And so, I mean, love celebrating you. You could use that as a graduation gift, a birthday gift, a shower card. I don't know, it's kind of versatile. And I know that they do have, for instance, happy birthday to the graduate and congratulations. So you could always use those inside of your card. So just stamping, you know, happy birthday, whatever, work that way. So there you have it, our coloring book day cards. How neat was that? It was simple, not very hard. You got to see how you could blend out those Stampin' blends. Those are always fun. And my wink of Stella. I always love adding a little bit of glitter on things. So I hope you had fun watching coloring. I hope you colored along with me. And I would love to see your pictures. So if you're done coloring today, feel free to post under this live video. And we can kind of celebrate National Coloring Book Day together. All right, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you again next time.